Emo Cowboy doesn't deserve to win So You Think You Can Tout because he's neither emo nor a cowboy. He is just a dick.
8 people left in the So You Think You Can Tout competition, from 135 down to a final 8. Only the strongest have survived up until this point, and things are about to get exponentially harder as I search for the winner, who will not only win $3,750 in underdog credits, but also secure a paid gig working with me on my YouTube channel. Up until this point, these 8 had successfully navigated getting roasted by Pat Mayo on their initial submission, improvising a bear case against a player they loved during the Tout twist, collaborating with a partner during Duo Week, and most recently, going to battle as 2 tribes during a Survivor challenge. In case you missed it, the Streamers tribe won the challenge after the algorithm decided who had the better video, and the Schemers were sent to Tribal Council. Tony Squares had immunity, the Ripcord Alliance had a plan, but guess what? Mitchell, aka the Commish, had a different one.
I'm ready to vote.
And from France, at 2 a.m, Alex Cups cast the deciding votes. Zach McDonald and Neil Farley were officially eliminated. And we were officially down to our final 8. Tony Squares, Alex Cups, Mitchell Daigle, Emo Cowboy, PPR Tyler, Michael O'Hara, Goofy Chicken, and Nathaniel Wright. But it's enough with the duos and the tribes and the teamwork. It's time for these guys to go to battle against each other head to head. We're tossing the buffs and the alliances out the window, every tout for themselves. Because for this challenge, they would have to think on their feet. No prep, no notes, no editing, no extra credit. It was time for a debate tournament. I'll be your host, Peter Overzet.
So you think you can howl? You fucking ain't right, we fucking think we can.
And for debate week, we needed someone who knows their way around an argument. Jakob Sanderson is one of the most respected voices in the fantasy football space. He's a writer at the Thinking About Thinking Substack, a host on ADP and Ship Chasing, and one of the sharpest analytical minds in the industry. He was the perfect judge for this challenge.
I mean, I've always loved debating and arguing. I feel like that has just come naturally. I'm an only child, so I like to hear myself talk and had the opportunity to do so.
It's no surprise that Jakob went on to become a lawyer.
Probably the most important thing, a trait as a lawyer, is just being able to take in a ton of information, quickly synthesize it into its most important points, and spit that back out. And I think that there is a ton of overlap between that and being a fantasy football tout. How quickly can you frame your argument? Can you articulate, organize, structure your argument, convey it in a compelling fashion?
Jakob, though, recently made the leap from the law to doing fantasy football full time. I guess it's basically the same thing. Instead of swaying prosecution and juries, he just now does the same with Davis Maddock and Pat Kerrane on a regular basis. Because regardless of where he's arguing, Jakob had been training for these moments his entire life.
Probably the most I ever got into formal debating was in university. I was on our ethics slam team, which is in the political studies and philosophy department. There was this thing in Manitoba called the Ethics Bowl, and it was different universities or just like random collections of people would enter. And our poli-sci department always had a team. Our philosophy department had a team. The other university in the province had a team. And they would give you about 18 potential prompts. 12 of them were serious. Like it would be, do you believe sex work should be legal or something like that? That was like related to political studies and philosophy in some way. And 6 of them were total jokes. And everybody, you'd have a team of 6 people. You'd have to prepare for all of them. And only a few of them would randomly get drawn that you would happen to get. And so you'd get on there. Sometimes you wouldn't even have one that you prep for. And you'd have to make your case. And the debate question was, be it resolved that unpopular kids should not be invited to birthday parties. And it was especially satisfying for me because on the philosophy department team just happened to be 2 of the more popular kids in my grade 1 class who begrudgingly invited me to their birthday party. And so I got to go up on the stage and be like, no, we should not invite unpopular kids to birthday parties. That guy invited me there. He didn't want me there. I didn't want to be there. And go through the whole experience. And that happened to get us the W.
Coincidentally, our So You Think You Can Tout debate tournament would also feature a second round with some absurdist topics. You'll see what I mean in a second. But before we get rolling, I asked Jakob, what he was actually looking for in this challenge. What separates a great fantasy football debater from someone who just likes to argue?
Probably the most important thing for me when it comes to debating is, especially debating on the fly, how quickly can you synthesize information to tell your point of view in a logical manner? Can contestants quickly establish what are the one or two most important things to my case? Can I set that out at the beginning and then take you on a journey of how all the other points I'm going to make relate to this big key point that I want to make here in my argument? Or is it just someone thinking of different points on the fly without a real coherent order? Because that to me is what's going to separate the best from the worst.
One thing I was personally looking for is who can argue and debate in an entertaining way. I personally don't like watching people just yell or talk over each other. I want it to be lighthearted and fun. Because isn't that the entire point of fantasy football?
It's super crucial. If you can disagree with someone, but mix in a joke or mix in some nod that shows, okay, I still respect you as a person, I'm not taking this that seriously, then I think that helps. If you're just going back and forth, especially if someone's volume is rising, if their aggression is rising, all of a sudden it becomes uncomfortable, and you want to avoid uncomfortable. We're trying to entertain people, and I don't think people want to watch people get actually fractured.
The challenge had the potential to trip up even some of our strongest contestants. The combination of building an argument with no prep and presenting it confidently is not something that comes easy. I wondered if anyone would have a built-in advantage.
It's going to be tough because no one's going to have an opportunity to pre-write any of this because we're going to be going. So it's going to be just that instinct that you have, be that as a writer, lawyer, as a whatever background you come from. Can you see the vision in your head of how I get from beginning, middle, conclusion, and then execute that?
Here's how the tournament would work. 8 contestants seeded by their rolling average in the challenges from the show thus far. 4 head-to-head matchups: Alex Cups versus Goofy Chicken, Michael O'Hara versus Nathaniel Wright, PPR Tyler versus Mitchell Daigle, and Tony Squares versus Emo Cowboy. We'd be scoring each individually, and the top 4 individual scores would advance to the second round. Each matchup is going to have 2 debate topics. For each topic, one contestant will argue the pro side, and the other contestant will argue the con. The initial pro and con will be determined by a coin flip, and these guys had no idea what the topics were going to be until I revealed it moments before starting the clock. The pro side is going to get a 60-second opening statement. The con will have a 90-second rebuttal making their own case, and then the pro will get a 30-second final rebuttal. So in each one, you will each get 90 seconds of time.
What I'm looking for is organized thoughts, confident thoughts, structured, concise, and be yourself.
Jacob and I would be scoring each contestant on a few different factors: argument quality, debate structure and flow, and delivery. It was time to get rolling. First up, we had Michael O'Hara versus Nathaniel Wright. This was an interesting pairing because O'Hara was coming off an MVP performance during Survivor Week and earned immunity for this challenge because he sent Nathaniel and Goofy to Tribal Council.
Yeah, I don't think I can be a team player on this one.
I was curious if there was any bad blood there.
All the stuff with the Tribal Council and sending me in there, it's not water on the bridge, but it's not something that I can think about right now, as he's immune. I can't do anything to him. He's not worried about this. He's not scared. He's not thinking about he's going home. He's not thinking about anything. He's just coasting.
You might also be wondering, if O'Hara has immunity, why should he even try in this challenge? There is going to be an additional prize for the winner. So Michael O'Hara is very incentivized to give it his best tonight to continue stacking whatever that reward or advantage could be. As for Nathaniel, he was coming off a tough showing during Survivor Week, but he survived Tribal Council largely because he aligned with Mitchell's voting block, but he had received a tier 4 rank from Ron, and let's be honest, his stock was slipping. He'd need to bring it here. Once they were settled, I hit him with the first topic. Nathaniel, 0 RB is dead in 2026. Your time starts now.
All right. These running backs are very important in the landscape of the drafting these days. Just because you have these backup running backs, we've had a bad draft of running backs this past year. We have backups who are less exciting than we've ever had before. And we had running backs going at the top, shoveled up to the top. So you can't be doing 0 RB when you know you're not going to get running back carries or you're excited about later in the season. You're not going to get carries that you're really excited about getting a nice youthful running back later in the season. And you're not getting these boring, dusty vets that we used to be getting in the 10th, 11th, 12th rounds, your Zach Mosses of the world. I mean, even though these people sometimes bust, they still can give you valuable points to advance your team in the midseason. You don't have either of those archetypes really in the later rounds. So you can't be doing a zero RB strategy when you don't have the players in the later round to make it happen. You have to take running backs early, even though their prices are higher. You just have to do it.
I think zero RB is very much alive and well this year, and it all depends on the format and just how you want to play it. If you're in your standard home league, I think you can very, very much execute this strategy in your drafts, just because I don't think we know who the zero RB targets are right now. But if you're plugged into the news and you're finding edges, grinding those camp reports and just seeing who's locked in and who's rising up the depth charts and is in line to earn touches and earn a role in offenses, I think you can lap the field and take down your league mates. And furthermore, I just think that we as fantasy football players, we're always looking to find an edge and zig when people are zagging. You don't want to just capitulate to the market just because people are pulling running backs up the draft boards. You have to go against the grain, because that's where real value is found. If you're just kind of falling in lockstep, doing what everyone else is doing, you're really not going to set yourself apart from the pack. And I talked about redraft leagues earlier, but these best ball, these massive tournaments, you really have to hit the nuts. You have to separate yourself from these massive pods and really genuinely get lucky. So you might as well take stabs at these kind of unknown profiles, these kind of mystery box upside guys in the later rounds, because if you're able to hit on those and other people are burning their high-end draft capital on questionable running back profiles, it's going to pay off in a massive way. And I think you're going to be able to build a roster that can really separate from the pack.
Well, you can't draft these exciting upside profiles in the later rounds if they don't exist in the later rounds. Like, I can't think of a single running back in the later rounds that I'm really excited about their upside profile for. And that's not going to change with camp news. We have these profiles. It's not like these guys just going up the depth chart is going to really matter a bunch. And in your home leagues, when you're doing the zero RB strategy, you're starting so far behind. You're going to be losing your first 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks before you can get your waiver wire turn. You're going to be losing out those important weeks, so you can't make the playoffs. It's just a disaster.
Michael is going to be the pro because he just had the con. The roles will flip. The topic for this second debate is you should be putting out content on your own channels if you want to win this competition. I'll say real quickly before O'Hara gives his pro case, this topic was cherry-picked for these two because one of our internal concerns for Michael O'Hara up to this point is that he hasn't been making content on his own channels. I even brought it up during our call for Survivor Week. As this contest goes on, as the competition gets stronger and stronger, it's going to start to be like, well, what else is this guy doing? Like, is he only can make content if someone invites him on a live stream? So strike while the iron's hot. I'm not sure what he's waiting for, but he'd be forced to sell himself on that idea here.
If you want to be a fantasy football tout, you have to prove that you want it. Do you actually want this? Do you want to make this your career? And how do you prove that you want it? You jump in head first and you actually get things rolling for yourself. Are you not talking about this challenge on your Twitter? Are you not interacting in the Discord? Are you not firing up drafts, firing up streams with the other competitors here? You have to show people that this is what you want to do for your career. If you're not putting your best foot forward and putting out the content yourself, it's just all a wash. It's not really, there's no point in putting yourself out there and putting yourself up to be judged by the Jakob Sandersons of the world, by the Peter Overzets of the world, if you're not willing to do it on your own in the first place. So if you're not putting out the content here, you might as well just sit back, relax, and watch the challenges pass you by.
We've seen no proof that putting out content favors you with the judges. We've seen it hasn't really favored people with the fans. Tony Squares has gotten a lot of rising stock, and he hasn't had any outside content. So I just don't really think that outside content really correlates with your chance to win. You talked about proving that you want it. There's plenty of ways to prove that you want it. And there's plenty of ways to prove that you're capable of doing it without firing up a stream every day, without recording content every day. Like, you can show people that you want it and you need it and that urge is inside of you by delivering in these challenges, by uploading a ton of confessionals, by being really invested in this show. And it doesn't matter if you stream best ball. It doesn't matter if you get the entire tout house out and about. You're showing that you want it and you can do it. That's all this competition is survive the challenges, show you want it, and show that you can do it. And you don't need to stream or create content to do that. Does it help? Maybe. Maybe it's good to flex those muscles. I can understand how it could be helpful, but it is not necessary. And it's not something that's going to carry you further in this competition, as we've seen proven time and time again through these challenges. Tony Squares, that's not why he is still here. It's not why Zach went home. It's not because he wasn't talking about content. It's not why Neil went home. They went home because they weren't talking to other people. It's because they weren't engaged in the contest and around the contest. And you don't need to engage outside the contest. You just need to be there in it with everyone else to show that you want it and you deserve it.
Just say, in the world of fantasy football and just touting, if you want to make it, you have to fully immerse yourself in the role. I mean, just ask Pete, just ask Jacob. They're both doing this full time. If you're not going to go all the way in, if you're not going to fully commit, it's just never going to happen for you. And I think we've seen this anecdotally in this competition. The Brian Hartmans, the Mitchell, the Kamish, they've both fully immersed themselves in this challenge, and it's helped them out. But if you're going to do this on a broader scale, you just absolutely have to be fully committed.
Jacob and I had them close with a 5.75 for Nathaniel and a 6.5 for O'Hara, but ultimately O'Hara's presentation helped him separate.
I thought that Nathaniel did a better job of rebutting and directly responding to what Michael said. I thought Michael's initial delivery was just smoother.
Nathaniel in particular was way more comfortable with the rebuttal, just coming out with more confidence. I think Nathaniel's opening, salve was a little jittery and skittish. But like you, I think I had them really close. But to me, with debating, and I'm curious how you feel about this, I mean, it's almost like a stand-up comedian as well. You have to tell me I'm in good hands. You have to tell me you are the leader of what's happening right now. O'Hara made me feel more like I was primed to hear a good argument than Nathaniel. Nathaniel was not happy about how it went down.
My debate was not great. I legitimately got the worst opponent, especially for me, in Michael O'Hara. He is my age, sounds like he's done debate stuff before. Awful partner for me. I legitimately think that I could have done the second best performance in this challenge and still lost to him.
Next up, we had our most anticipated matchup of the evening. Tony Squares versus Emo Cowboy. Two guys who really dislike each other would now be forced to go at it in the debate arena.
So fuck the Toxic Tower.
Both guys had commandeered the host role for their tribes during Survivor Week, and Squares had earned MVP for his showing. Tony did get outmaneuvered at Tribal Council, but his stock in the competition is undeniably surging. As for Emo, his performances have been solid since his initial submission flopped, but he remains a controversial figure who fans and fellow contestants either love or hate. This was going to be a tight one. So Tyler, you are arguing the pro side. The debate topic is, a fantasy tout's primary job is to entertain rather than advise. Your time starts now.
A fantasy tout's primary job is to entertain. It's not to advise. There's a lot of players in this space. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of information. We've got more access to information than ever. You've got it in your fantasy app. You've got it on YouTube. You've got it everywhere. What we don't really have is a good place for entertainment. That is really what this space is about. It's what a tout is about. The tout's job is to get your attention and entertain you, bring you back, keep you coming back. That's really, really at the core of a tout. You don't come to the tout because they have results. You come to the tout because they make you watch. They entertain you. They keep you watching. It's fun to be engaging with the tout. A tout has hate watchers. They have fans. You look at some of the biggest names in the space. It's not because of the sharpest people. It's because the most engaging, the most entertaining. I enjoy being entertaining. I enjoy giving people something they don't have. And quite frankly, what a lot of people don't have in a data-heavy space is that entertainment factor.
The fantasy football place and the football space in general is full of entertainers, the Stephen A. Smiths, the Pat McAfees of the world. But what it is lacking is the people that can give you both of it. The people who are on the voting map when the election night is there, giving you the numbers, but also entertaining you. Because if you're going to come out and you're going to say that results are not necessary, like Emo Cowboy said, I want a tout that's going to continuously give me winning picks and winning advantages and also entertain me. So you can be entertaining. You can be off the cuff. You can have the jokes. You need to have the information support, or else I'm losing money left and right. And no matter how entertaining you are, losing money is never fun. So I will sit there. I will give you the info. I will go through all the grades that I have, all of the EPA metrics that I can dive into, because the tout needs to have the information in his arsenal. you can tell jokes. If you want to be a stand-up comedian, go on the Joe Rogan podcast. If you want to be a tout, get into those books and dive into the numbers and give the people what they want. The rickadoozles of the world are dying for that inside angle, and those are the people you're speaking to. The Neil Farleys, may he rest in peace, are wanting the information to make them succeed and win money in these advantages, in these best ball drafts. And all the idiots in your home beer league, yes, they're going to be entertained by the YouTube shorts they share 3 weeks after that they've come out, but at the same time, you want to beat your home league. You want to win your home league. And you can only do that if your tout is giving you A+ information. That's why it matters.
Unfortunately, you said yourself that it's about information and entertainment. And what that comes down to is you're going to lose money playing this game no matter what. Football is won and lost every week because of variance. I can give you the best information every week. It's going to be a coin flip a lot of times because of all the ways the football can bounce, all the variance that can make good process, bad result. So the results aren't what matters. What matters is how entertaining and how engaged you, the fan, are, because you're making decisions no matter what information I give you.
Topic is you should leverage your existing fan base to your advantage in So You Think You Can Tout. This is also a fun topic for these two because Emo and Squares have approached this in entirely different ways. Emo has weaponized the Toxic Tower fan base at basically every turn to increase his odds in the contest, while Tony has yet to truly leverage his massive reality TV fan base on Instagram. Now Squares would need to argue against a position he's personally maintained.
You need to leverage your existing fan base in order to win So You Think You Can Tout, because we've seen over and over again, week by week, the fan vote matters more than anything. The algorithm was the main judge in who advanced last week. And if I had taken the 60,000 people that I have on my Instagram, even though they're Survivor fans, and leveraged them to watch that YouTube video, given them free subscriptions to my Survivor content in order to watch the whole thing and get that watch time up, I wouldn't have had to lose any of my teammates in the advantage. Moving forward, as we get less and less and lower, the stakes are getting higher and higher. We're going to be neck and neck with some of these equally opportunistic opponents. And in order for you to leverage the people, the work you've already done, the 5 years of videos I've put out, in order to pull them into the touting space, that is going to help you succeed, because at the end of the day, you can prove you belong if you're sitting next to Peter getting paid to talk about sports. And that's what we're all fighting for. So yes, leverage the people you have because you already worked for it.
If you wanted to leverage your fan base, you would have, Tony. There's no reason not to. If the goal is to win, it's to leverage. So if you didn't do that, you're already implicitly admitting that it doesn't move the needle enough, because at the end of the day, this show, So You Think You Can Tout, is about the judges, the production, like the production team and crew, and then the fan vote, as you mentioned. And what we find week after week is that the existing fan base is not what's moving the needle. The fans of the show are not the fans of the people coming into the contest. In fact, many new faces and names have made their own brand now. So really and truly what it comes down to is how good are you doing in the challenges? How well are you appealing to the new fans of the show? And how well are you impressing or not impressing the judges? Because ultimately, leveraging a fan base you came in with, we're coming in as small creators. We don't actually have that big or powerful of a fan base. If we did, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be doing this to try to appeal to a larger audience on a larger platform. Ultimately, it's about the results you do now. Those speak for themselves. Those gets you to the next week. And ultimately, that's what carries you or limits you. Leaning on something you brought into the competition is not what's going to get it done. What's going to get it done is how you perform, how you appeal to the new masses, the new eyeballs, and the judges week in and week out. And if that mattered, you would leverage it to your benefit. I can tell you firsthand, we have a very powerful fan base. That hasn't been why I'm here. It's my performance.
Well, I don't deny that your performance has been excellent in these challenges, Emo. It is very clear that you guys use the fan base that you have and the connections that you've made in this reality fantasy football space to gain the advantage in the last challenge specifically. I saw all the blue check marks in the fantasy football space that retweeted your video specifically, not to watch our video, but to watch your video specifically to speak to their masses. Leveraging those relationships you have, it's not what you know, it's who you know, and you have used that to succeed.
This was the strongest debate of round one. 8.5 for Squares, 8.0 for Emo.
Both of them were substantially stronger, frankly, than the first two contestants. Both excellent speakers. I thought that the content was way stronger on the first prompt, and then they got a little lost in the sauce, I thought, on the second one.
There's something about when Emo's doing it where he kind of like snaps into what seems kind of like a character, or a version of like Now I'm Debate Emo, where it didn't feel like really him. Just like if we were at a bar and I threw out this topic, Squares seemed a little more natural to me in how I loved how he had the references to, he references Rickadoozle and that.
That was
There
remarkable. How he could do that recall was incredible.
And just a levity to it as well of kind of like, again, that's the thing about these debates, and a thing I think we're going to talk about a lot this evening is I don't want to feel uncomfortable watching a debate. I want there to be some playfulness. Like at the end of the day, this isn't that serious. It should be fun. It should be lighthearted. You want to win the debate, but we also have to have some fun along the way. For our third debate, we had Mitchell Daigle versus PPR Tyler. Both of these two entered the debate on arguably shaky ground. Mitchell had just gotten shredded by Mason Dodd during Survivor Week.
And Mr. the Commish, clowning on the Flock League, saying that we're in it for the money, blah, blah, blah. Of course, the comments eviscerate him.
But he had also won over some fans at Tribal with his sharp gameplay and social maneuvering. As for PPR Tyler, he was reduced to a bit player in the group submission, and we were anxious to see if he could get his mojo back in this format. The pro that Tyler is taking is, you should not consider ADP when drafting.
You should not consider your ADP when drafting, because at the end of the day, the players you need are the players that you need. And there's a lot of other things that matter other than ADP. Like if we're playing a best ball, game stacking certainly matters. Playoff schedule in terms of redraft certainly matters when you're looking at who are you trying to take? Everything not is ADP. Now, do you consider it sometimes? Yes, but it should not be the end all be all like most people draft. I don't think ADP is indicative of winning contests. You see tools like the SYTYCT. Ooh, again, they claim they win a bunch of money over there. They don't use ADP. It's purely based off rankings. It's purely based off projections. Those are the things that you should be taking into account when you draft. It's not ADP. It's projections. It's, who are the players you need for the year that you are trying to win. And that changes constantly with news and everything else. And ADP can't catch up to as fast enough that some of those things.
Yeah, I mean, you need to use ADP when you're drafting. I'm old enough to remember when Davis Maddock drafted like 40% Justin Jefferson in round one. And then we heard that he was looking at jobs at State Farm. So you have to take the market into account. It's an efficient market, especially if you're playing on underdog or in a best ball setting. And ADP is there for a reason. Like it's set sufficiently. And if you're not following it, you may have some player takes, some micro player takes, and have a small edge there. But for the most part, you're always going to get left behind and you're going to be behind the market. I think that's tried and true. We found that over years and years of data that's gone into this. I do think potentially to PPR's point in a home league, I do think, depending on the rankings that you give your friends before the draft, it might be sharp to go off ADP. But if we're talking about best ball, again, I think it's pretty clear that you have to use ADP, especially for stacks and especially for quarterbacks. I think there's correlation there, and drafting ADP based on correlation is pretty sharp, not in onesie positions or one-off situations. I think taking a step further on a team-by-team level, if ADP is high on a team, it's high for a reason, and I think you need to stay true to that. So that would be my argument for using ADP.
Well, here's why ADP, it doesn't matter, is because you mentioned the ESPN thing where, you have an underdog ADP that's sharp and an ESPN one that's, quote, not as sharp. So in what sense are you supposed to use ADP? Like if you go off ESPN ADP and you're drafting your home league, you're probably going to get crushed, right? And like I said, so all these guys that make rankings and all this stuff just doesn't matter then, because that's not purely based off ADP. It's based off projections. It's based off things that ADP really can't take into account. If I should draft off ADP, then I should just set auto draft and just not even draft teams.
So we are going to flip here. And this next topic, Mitchell is going to have the 60-second opening statement. The topic is work ethic is more important than talent when it comes to content. It shouldn't surprise you that Mitchell lit up the second he heard he was going to get to argue something he truly believed.
Yeah, I've been called the extra credit merchant a lot in this contest, so I'm happy I get the pro side here. Look, improvement in in any realm of life comes with practice. We hear the 10,000 hour rule. And I know it's been indicative in the show. The people that are here, the top 8, are people that have had reps on camera before. The people that haven't had reps on camera fell out by the wayside early on in the competition. This is a clear indication of it. Even people that aren't in the fantasy space, like Tony Squares is here based on his Survivor background. And that's because he's been grinding for years. He may not have the fantasy analysis to be there in the end, but he's here just because of his reps on camera. And then furthermore, the more you look into stuff, the more you research, the better you're going to get, the better your thumbnails are going to be, the better structured your videos are going to be. I mean, it's like, people are going to say talent, you can't coast on talent forever. Talent is a floor raiser. It's not a ceiling raiser. You got to play like a champion and show up every day hard at work.
I think you just dug your own grave with the last thing you just said. You said talent is a floor raiser. It's not a ceiling raiser. Are you kidding me? Talent is... So let me just say this. So let's just say Pete, for example, he just went on every day and he clicked go live and he didn't work on thumbnails. He didn't work on his craft. He didn't work on anything. He just went on there and clicked go live. Like I would say that's work ethic. Showing up every day is work ethic. But to be talented, talent comes in different forms, as you know. It comes with the thumbnails. It comes with getting better on camera. You have to want to get better. That's what talent is. That's not work ethic. You can do the same thing every day, but if you're not getting better at that same thing, if you're not increasing your talent level, it's not going to matter at the end of the day. As someone who, again, has streamed 140 days in a row, I've streamed over 200 days in a row. I think I'm the perfect person to speak on this. Like, I could have just clicked go live every single day, but if I'm not working, behind the scenes on making myself, more informed on player takes, more informed with my overall game theory takes, more informed on, making better thumbnails, what that looks like, doing shorts. That's a talent. That's not work ethic. Like, work ethic, you need that, but talent is what raises that ceiling. Like, if anybody could just have a good work ethic, everybody would be Pete Overzet, everybody would be Jakob Sanderson, but it takes that talent to raise your ceiling. So what you just said, where you're like, yeah, talent's a floor raiser, it's not a ceiling raiser, that's the most insane thing I've ever heard.
Your whole point about talent right there was working harder to get better talent, but I'll digress. The point about this, the floor raiser, if you look at gifted children, they end up not being at the top of their fields because they coast on that talent and they learn that talent can get them by, and they don't learn about the work ethic from a young age. This is a studied fact. And if you go and research it, like you've researched fantasy football for the last 3 months, you would understand that. So yeah, it's a floor raiser, but you need the hard work to get to the top of the field.
This was a weird one. Mitchell came alive on the pro side of work ethic. It was genuinely his argument, and you could tell. It propelled him to a 7.75 score. But Tyler just wasn't there tonight. The ADP argument had factual misses, the body language wasn't right, and coming off 2 rough challenges, he just didn't seem like himself. He scored a 5.
Mitch, I thought that it was not quite to the level of like charisma and organization as a couple that we had just watched, but I thought it was overall pretty solid. And I thought especially in his last rebuttal, I thought he did a pretty excellent job of seizing on a new point that was actually additive to his argument. To be honest, I wasn't that impressed by Tyler today. I thought that his arguments, I found to be just kind of poor from a subject matter perspective. I mean, for instance, he said that the SYTYCT doesn't incorporate ADP, which is just flat out incorrect. And I also didn't like a lot of the body language. I just thought he was rolling his eyes a lot and coming across as negative. So I was disappointed overall. I
liked that initially that it felt like himself. It was casual. It wasn't this like performative thing that made me feel uncomfortable. And yet it was so nonchalant. I got excited when he said, "You just dug your own grave," because I'm like, oh,
I love that.
And then he just petered out, like saying talent is thumbnails. For our final debate, we had 2 men who had just come off a tense tribal council, Alex Cups and Goofy Chicken. Even though Cups has been on the block in back-to-back episodes, first the head-to-head vote with Rambus and then tribal council with the Schemers, he continues to pull strongly with fans and he's universally considered a frontrunner. As for Goofy, he was in a similar boat as PPR, a streamer who has stumbled in recent challenges and is struggling to live up to the hype after an awesome initial submission. The topic that you're debating the pro side for is, we would all be better at fantasy football if we didn't read off-season beat reports.
Yeah, so I would say that I agree with this statement. And the main reason that I agree with this statement is the fact that the most predictive metrics for fantasy football on a year-over-year basis our previous season metrics, whether that's fantasy points per game or, the per route metrics in the previous season. Those are the things that are most predictive of what these players are going to do in the following season. So I think we all get a little bit sidetracked when we get too deep into the weeds with these offseason beat reports. We start asking too many questions. We saw what happened last year with a guy like Quinshawn Judkins. We know he's a great prospect coming out of college, and we let him fall super far in drafts because of those beat reports and what happened legally. Obviously, there's some question marks there, but I do think that those are some reasonable explanations, as we should really stick to our priors in a lot of ways when it comes to drafting these players on a year-over-year basis.
Beat reporters are great. Getting things from other people are great. But I think the best people that are playing this game are really putting in their own work. They're studying their own stats. They're looking at their own variables. When you look at it, the biggest thing that you could do when you're trying to go into fantasy football, forget about what happened last year. Use your eyes. I'm a guy who likes to look at film. I'm a guy that likes to look at talent on the field. When I'm looking at these guys, I'm looking at it as if I'm a talent evaluator. Things change in the offseason. GMs change. Offensive coordinators change. Quarterbacks change. So when we're talking about analytics and metrics from last year, football is like water, man. It changes every single year. So just to say, for instance, because we talk about him, Ashton Genty did this last year. He wasn't as efficient, but when in college, he was great. Well, everything's changed. His center has changed. His head coach has changed. The play caller has changed. So when it comes to should you trust your own gut or should you read different beat reporters and articles, I would say go with your gut. Do what you feel is right, because there are so many different things that can happen in the season. And hey, play volume, man. Just play volume and hope that it works out the best for you.
Sure. So the first thing I would say in regards to what Goofy said, Goofy, you said we need to forget about what happened last year. I think that's probably one of the poor pieces of advice that you can give, because I really do believe that the most we can learn about these players is what they put on wax last year. Okay. And you bring up Ashton Genty, and his situation definitely has changed going into year two. But if we look back at just him as a prospect, I think that tells us enough. Plus what he did in year one with a poor offense around him, I think that does what we need around him.
Your topic that you're arguing the pro for is you should be targeting your strongest competitors in So You Think You Can Tout. This is a very fun topic for these two. Goofy admitted at Tribal he thought O'Hara made a cowardly decision sending in him and Nathaniel instead of the Toxic Tower boys.
Michael O'Hara should have put those two boys in here.
Cups has consistently said he wants to be at the end with the best and most deserving. Both would now get a chance to argue something they seemingly actually believed. Goofy immediately perked up.
Yes, you should be targeting your strongest competitors, and So You Think You Can Tout. Do you want to win or not? You play to win the game. You want to go in there against the Toxic Tower? Fine. They got 700 more subscribers than you got. You want to go in there against Tony? Well, he had a hell of a performance last week. You want him or me? You probably want me, man. You want to win. Go get your money, get your site credits, get your equipment upgrade. It makes no sense. There's no way that you should not be targeting your strongest opponents. I mean, come on, even in professional football, even in professional basketball, that's the seeding. The top seed wants to play the lowest seed. So they got the best chance to win the ball game. I don't even understand how you could argue any other way. Because, if you're a competitor and you want to win the ball game, then doggone it, take the weakest link and let the strongest link keep going and take him out.
Goofy, I agree with you in one way. When you say you play to win the game, I agree, right? But does the game matter as much when you're taking out the best competition early? Okay, if that's what you're going to put your side on the fence of taking out these great competitors early in the game, I think that is going to come back to bite you later on. I would really like to see in So You Think You Can Tout, I want to take the strongest competition down to the end. All right. I want to beat the best competitors in this game, and I want to do it in the last couple weeks. That's what I want to do. I don't want to go behind anyone's back in the Survivor Challenge and try to scheme together and take out the best competitors. because I think that, for one, I think that's going to come back to bite me, because I think people like seeing strong competitors on this show. And two, I want to prove that I can beat those guys. I don't want to take them out in a slimy way. I want to prove that I can take those guys down to the finish in So You Think You Can Tout. So I really think when I want to pick who goes on to the next rounds, I'm going off of merit. I want to take these strongest guys all the way to the end. I want to take these guys that have the merit, that deserve to be on the show every week, take them on head to head, just like this. Goofy, I think you're one of the best competitors in this challenge. I love taking you on head to head. I want to do stuff like this every single week. That's the way I would approach So You Think You Can Tout. Take the talent all the way to the end.
No, bro. That's not how sports works, man. Sports works where you want to take out the easiest guys and you want to play the finals in you want to play the finals last. It's the way sports works. Nobody says, give me the best person day one. No, you got to warm up a little bit, man. You got to take out the slappies before you go ahead and take on the champion, man. That's the way sports works. That's the way tournaments are made. You play the 16 plays the 1 seed.
Goofy came alive on the second prompt. That passion, that energy, that's the Goofy we love. But on the first debate, he basically didn't address the prompt. He never argued why beat reports matter. He argued go with your gut, which is a different thing entirely.
Just purely on camera presence, I'm giving Goofy my first full marks in any category on that. I think he's just so naturally charismatic on camera. Substance-wise, he unfortunately did not address the prompt on the first question whatsoever.
I know,
he addressed what Cup said, but at no point did he mention that it was important to take beat reports seriously.
One of the things, too, that's been tough with Goofy is I love him in a streaming long-form setting where he's so casual. These challenges of late have put him in these tighter boxes, these constraints, and like his personality doesn't shine through as much. His personality, the way I described it in the most recent episode, it's like effortlessly chill. And these challenges, but kind of by necessity, or sometimes have like put him in a more aggro position, which I don't think is like my favorite way to consume Goofy. We gave Goofy a 5.5 and Cups locked in a 7.25. After all 4 debates, we reviewed our scores. We have 4 who are above a 7, Cups at 7.25, Mitchell at 7.75, Emo at 8, and Squares at 8.5. And we have 4 below it. O'Hara narrowly 6.5, Goofy at 5.5, PPR at 5, Nathaniel at 5.75. Do you agree that there's a clear top 4 and a clear bottom 4 here?
Yeah, I'm taking a cursory glance, but I'm pretty sure that our average is the same as my top 4, even if like some of the specific rankings are different. So I think those would be the 4 that I would choose to advance. Would be, it's Squares, it's Emo, Mitchell, and Cups.
So we told the bottom 4 that they were done for the evening, and we'll be letting you know their fate in a second. But we still had a tournament to finish, and Jacob had some thoughts.
To me, there was almost 3 levels of contestants. There were the ones that I thought just clearly got flustered in this environment and struggled to present confidently or stay on track. There were the ones that clearly were able to present a structured argument, but almost had to go into a character to do it, which I think is something, but it's difficult to then vibe with or feel like you can replicate or scale up. And then there were the ones who were able to come across confidently, able to present organized while just kind of talking like themselves. And you didn't know that it was a pressure cooker. You didn't know that they had a time limit. It felt like you were watching them just deliver a clip that happened to be 90 seconds or happened to be 60 seconds in the context of an ADP chasing episode versus someone who felt very aware that, okay, it's my time that's on, and okay, now I'm out of time and I'm back. And so those people that were able to execute while staying natural, those are the people that really rose to the top.
For the 4 who didn't make it to the next round, Jacob shared some advice.
The moments that I almost enjoyed the least from a lot of the contestants were when it felt like they were trying to either like make specific references that I might appreciate or like talk in a way that is similar to how we talk. Don't appease me. Don't mimic me or mimic Pete. Have the confidence in yourself to be your own thing, because this is a highly saturated industry and we're like a highly saturated niche within this highly saturated industry of people who share style and people who share ideology. And so I would be more intrigued by seeing someone who can stand on their own 2 feet.
Round 2, however, was going to be completely different than what we just saw in round 1. Our top 4, Squares, Emo, Mitchell, and Cups, would be playing PowerPoint Karaoke. If you aren't familiar, it's a popular improv game. Participants must deliver a cohesive, convincing presentation using a slideshow they have never seen before. It forces them to invent stories on the spot, riff, improvise, all of that good stuff. Jacob and I had previously played it on an episode of the Randomizer.
You want to bring the country together. Red, blue. Where you got to crank it? You got to crank it purple.
There would be a title slide, a main slide with bullet points, and a conclusion. Their job was to deliver it as if they wrote it, as if they believe every word, and to be persuasive and funny while doing it. The topics were not exactly what you'd call conventional. First up, Tony Squares would be explaining to us why mascots should be allowed on the field for 2-point conversions.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been clear as day for as long as possible. The way to spice up the NFL, the way to get the ratings even higher, you hear that? Roger Goodell's ears just perked up. Mascots should be allowed on the field for 2-point conversions, and if you do that, you make it a 3-point conversion. Now, I'm giving the Chicago Bears benefits here because the Green Bay Packers don't have an effing mascot. How are you going to have a cheesehead on the field? This is already an olive branch I'm handing off to them, but as you can see, the mascots, it's the only way to play. If you can give me the bullet points so I can explain my argument, Peter. Enter the mascot. The 2-point conversion as we know it is broken. Did you see the Zach Charbonnet play from that Rams game? It's terrible. Mascots must cross the goal line unassisted. No more fumble-rooski. That's pretty easy to figure out. The next bullet point's even better. There's no blocking allowed. The mascot must run the ball in by themselves. You remember that college game where you could have the mascots, all the Stanford trees running around? Get that all away. It's one-on-one into the end zone. And tackling. If the mascot is tackled, the conversion fails and the opposing team gets a free fish or whatever they choose from the grab box that was decided upon earlier in the game. So that way we have all these other, there could be a Mario star coming out. There could be a banana on the field afterwards. We don't know where it's going. Number 4. Injuries. Now, nobody likes injuries. Okay, we got to be real serious here. We got to tone it down. Mascot injuries are covered under the CBA. So never fear if you get a broken leg because Ray Lewis hits you in the kneecap. You're safe. You're okay. You'll never be able to walk again, but you won't have to pay the bill. And the last bullet is, if there is a last bullet.
No, sorry. We're to the final slide.
Oh, so send in the mascots. Look at all the colors on the field. I don't want to see Nick Chubb getting injured. I want to see the Browns mascot getting injured. Brownie the elf, send him to the hospital. We'll pay for the hospital bill, and the fans will be cheering because if he scores, that's an extra point on top. And I do have the final 20 seconds to once again address the Chicago Bears moving to Indiana. There should be a forfeiture of a mascot in that exchange, and that mascot should stay in Chicago because if Green Bay can't have a mascot, can't have cheerleaders. We just have literally the band on the field. The Bears should not have that as well. But overall, mascots on the field, a 3-point conversion, put it in the top 10 of every sports center. That's my argument.
We both gave Tony a 9.5.
This guy is a rocket ship. His screen presence is electric. His ability to just fold things in completely on the fly was great. There were multiple moments where I was really impressed, like in terms of you're in this read and react environment. And, for instance, like he sees the line or whatever, but he's able to like spring that into something else and connect a new rule about they decided this earlier in the game. Even just at one point, he clearly decided he was done with one bullet point. You hadn't put the next one up there. So he buys himself the extra 3 seconds being like, and number 4. And I thought that was just like a nice little details of working on the fly where you're not getting frazzled, you're just rolling with it and continuing to be additive.
There's a thing in improv too where you say like you play to the top of your intelligence, play to what you know. I like how he dug into the Packers-Bears thing. Like he's a Packers fan and he had fun. He knew that was a well that he could kind of mine there for some additional info. He's unflappable, man.
He's really good at this.
Next up, Alex Cups would be introducing a new promotion for the Kansas City Chiefs.
So today I'll be giving you guys a presentation on any game in which Xavier Worthy plays healthy. Every fan will get a free hot dog. So we're going to get right into it. Jump right into the first slide here. So, as we all know, everyone except Davis Maddock, for that matter, Xavier Worthy, never healthy, okay? Hot dogs will fix that. I will say, though, I'm not sure how many hot dogs Xavier Worthy himself is eating, considering he's around 160 pounds, soaking wet. But, the way that this will help Xavier Worthy potentially stay healthy, hot dog distribution begins at kickoff regardless of snap count. That's good. We know Xavier Worthy likes to start the games, doesn't really like to finish them quite as often. But, that's great. We love that it starts at the beginning of the game, right at kickoff, regardless of snap count. Awesome. Ooh, see, okay. This is where it gets dangerous. Worthy must play a minimum of 3 snaps to trigger the hot dog. It's, we're going to see quite a few games with Xavier Worthy where I think he comes onto the field week 1 last year. I mean, did he even get 3 snaps in before he got side-checked by Travis Kelce? I don't believe he did. So we would not be getting a free hot dog in that game. I think that makes it a little harder to be hitting that hot dog distribution. And a backlash. So the hot dog vendor union has filed a formal grievance. I mean, is that because they're afraid they're going to be giving out too many hot dogs? I don't think they should really be concerned about that with Xavier Worthy, considering these stipulations here and the fact that he has to play at least 3 snaps. And Patrick Mahomes, okay, that's great news. Patrick Mahomes will be personally funding this initiative for the Kansas City Chiefs. Sounds like he wants to have his pass catcher out there a little more often. I can't say it's going to help that much if I had to guess, but it is great news. We know Patrick Mahomes has one of the highest contracts in the league, so that's awesome. We're not just fixing fantasy football. We are fixing Xavier Worthy, and we're fixing the Kansas City Chiefs. And if anyone's going to be happy about that, we know Davis Maddock will be. So I'm hoping he's on board with this initiative.
Jacob and I were in lockstep. Cups had really struggled here and earned a 4 out of 10.
I just felt like he didn't really understand what we were going for. He was mostly just reacting to the slides. It never felt like he was running the competition. And it felt like more so he was just being very point by point and reactive rather than using the bullet points to make one coherent argument as though it was an actual PowerPoint presentation he wrote.
What you have to do, right, is you have to put your mindset in like, I wrote this. And he was reacting to everything. He acted genuinely surprised. I do like that he chuckled. Like, that is fun to kind of like
surprise.
Acknowledge it. But man, there was no confidence in the delivery, and he really didn't expand or riff on anything in a meaningful way. Cups knew he had flopped.
This really feels like the first challenge that has really kind of stumped me. Definitely got me out of my comfort zone. I don't think I was selling anyone on the idea that this was a good one.
Our third PowerPoint presentation would be delivered by Emo Cowboy. He would be sharing a new mandate for the NFL.
Folks, it is a new dawn. It is a new era because the Gatorade cooler contains a live gator. And the losing coach is going to be doused with that cooler. That is insane, folks. Let's get into it. This is going to be a hot topic this season. Because guess what? The Gatorade bath has no teeth. And it's time we fix that. The gator is sourced fresh from the Louisiana bayou each week. That's important because Louisiana is where the spice of life comes from. Not just because of the food, because the Gators are sick and tired of your shit being on their front lawn, and it's time to fight back. And how are they fighting back? Let's get into it. And guess what? The coaching staff must guess which cooler contains the gator before the game. It's now gamesmanship. We're playing chess. Everybody says, hey, the NFL, it's not like college football because we're playing chess, not checkers. Another step of the chess game is trying to figure out which cooler's got the gator and which one doesn't, because it's immediately returned to the wild after the game, which means it either feasts and returns with happiness, or it doesn't get what it wants, and now it's on the loose. Quite frankly, a morality issue if the coach doesn't take it upon himself to get eaten by the gator and return it unsatisfied and unfulfilled back to the wild. Lastly, the Steve Irwin clause is the killer here. The gator must be at least 4 feet long. 4 feet's important because under 4 feet, it's a young gator. It's a whippersnapper. It doesn't have a lot of bite. It doesn't have a lot of brawn. 4 feet plus, it's a Mac Daddy. It's here to do damage. Let's wrap this up, folks. If you lost, you take the gator. That's the deal. There's nothing worse than losing a game until now. You might lose a hand. You might lose your life. We're not knowing what extent of pain and misery you might unfold if the gator gets you in a death roll. There's no worse public shame than getting absolutely eaten alive by the other team and then getting eaten alive in front of God and everybody. Your wife, your kids are sitting there as you're just getting rickrolled by a goddamn gator. It doesn't give a fuck. It's here to make your life misery. No more easy losses. No more not having accountability. Bring your A game every week. Otherwise, it's your ass.
Similar to the initial debate, we thought Emo was solid, but just not the best of this group. We gave him a 6.5.
He has a very natural screen presence. He has, like, you mentioned this on the first one. I noticed it even more here. He has a little bit of a, you've won a brand new car, like, way of speaking that I find is, like, a little off-putting. I prefer just Tyler's normal speaking voice, frankly. And I thought that he occasionally was, like, kind of clearly buying time with platitudes versus coming up with creative arguments.
He wasn't phased. You know, he didn't look nervous. I will say I lost kind of like, other than that one line until the very end, like, you know, this is so absurd. Like, I want to laugh. I'm on my seat, like wanting to laugh at the absurdity of it. And it felt like it was almost a little serious with how he was doing, which in comedy, like, you can straight man a really absurd premise and that can be a way to get comedy. I couldn't tell, like, did he want to lean into the absurdity of it or did he want to straight man it? It was Mitchell Daigle's turn to deliver the final presentation and introduce us to an exciting new sponsorship for the NFL.
All right. Well, I would like to thank you all for coming to my TED Talk tonight. This touchdown is brought to you by Ozempic. So, yeah, it's all about weight loss here in the NFL. We see Brandon Ayuk, how he dropped like 3 rounds after he came out fat. It's summer now. It's time for the beach bods. It's time for the shirtless pics. We're getting into training camp. It's best shape of your life season. If you don't have Ozempic, you're falling behind. It's basically like the solver of fitness these days. If you're not playing with some sort of analytical or AI edge, you're falling behind. So the most watched moment in football deserves the most talked about product in football. I completely agree with this. Obviously, I wrote it. I think there's some seamless kind of promotions and marketing that we can use for Ozempic. We could maybe make the field goals a little skinnier during certain weeks in the NFL season. We can work with concessions. So yeah, I think it's great, and it brings the family together. Scoring player must pause and say, I no longer feel the urge. See, these are great ideas too. This was my team back there. They helped me with it. All of them are 6 foot and up. All of them weigh less than 180 pounds. We watch clavicular every morning to kind of get ready. That's how we get our day started. No caffeine, just clavicular over here. Before and after photo, I think that's great as well. The NFL for a while, I always felt it was kind of terrible how they wouldn't let players take their helmets off. Some would say there was racial undertones to that. To me, I say take everything off. Fuck it. Let's make this rated R. Let's have some fun out here. Let's see what they're all working with. They are super bodies at the end of the day, and Ozempic definitely helps. Red zone is now the Ozempic opportunity zone. I love that. Tied into maybe put the snacks down during the witching hour. Let's all huddle around the TV. And I think I'm good for our conclusion. Grand finale here. This is America. This is football. This is Ozempic. AFO right there. That's our tagline. Happy meals. That we're all about chasing happiness out here. It's not ship chasing. It's happiness chasing. And shout out to my guy Vince Wilfork, I think, right there. Ozempic. That's what you need to get you through game day.
Mitchell didn't flop like Cups, but it also wasn't his strongest showing. We gave him a 5.5.
It felt like he had a vision in mind of where things were going on the title page. And then when the slide flipped, it felt like what was actually on the slide did not match with what he thought was going to be on the slide. And I thought he struggled to pivot on the fly. I thought that you kind of were putting the bullet points up and he wasn't either seeing them or necessarily integrating them. And he would kind of just say it and then go back to whatever he wanted to say. So I thought of the three, that was the weakest in terms of yes-anding the actual prompts.
One thing that I didn't like, the fake meta stuff like, oh, my team wrote this, or we all definitely agreed on this, where I like what it's like, we know that you didn't make this. Like, we don't have to, really wink at the camera that hard. I want you to deliver. Like, would you actually mention your team, if you were giving this PowerPoint? No. At the very least, Mitchell seemed to have accomplished his goal.
My only goal here was to not get last, not get out in the first round. I was fine with my performance, though. Not disappointed.
After all 4 presentations, it was time to figure out who is advancing to the 3rd round. Squares had a 9.5, Emo had a 6.5, Mitchell 5.5, and Cups 4.0. We have Squares as the clear top, Cups as the clear bottom. It really comes down to like the Mitchell or Emo.
I felt like Mitchell was funnier, but I felt like Emo was more coherent and understood the assignment better. I would have a hard time personally voting for Mitchell because I scored Emo higher when I had just seen them. And if I was to even do any sort of tiebreaker, I had Emo scored higher in the first round too.
And we gave Emo the higher score. And I will say, I think the symmetry of these guys going at it in round 1, the symmetry of these guys disliking each other.
My content brain is all in on getting this matchup because I definitely watched the Survivor episode. I to be honest, I didn't know much about Tony before that, but there's clearly some bad blood, and I want to see that.
We were heading for a rematch of round 1, but this time we wouldn't be debating fantasy football. Instead, they'd be going for each other's throats. This is a head-to-head battle between the 2 remaining debaters. The topic, why the other person doesn't deserve to win, so you think you can tout. 30 seconds, opening argument. You each are going to get 30 seconds to yourself. The next 2 minutes are going to be free form.
Tony doesn't deserve to win this contest because he's not been involved in this contest. He's not of this world and of this space. He hasn't been grinding it. He doesn't know ball enough. He doesn't know tout enough. He comes from a Survivor background. That's his one big leg. That's his one big shtick. Outside of that, he's just host mode. It's not who wants to be the host, it's who wants to be a tout. What a tout brings a lot more than what Tony brings. Flat out, period.
Emo Cowboy doesn't deserve to win, so you think you can tout, because he's neither emo nor a cowboy. He is just a dick. He is showcased throughout everyone in this competition, except for the 2 people in the Toxic Tower, that he is not willing to make any relationships with any single person in there. You can run that in your own life. You can be your own person, a lone soldier. However, in this world of relationship building and community, do you really want a guy to win who has done nothing but annoy every single person every single day? I am not that.
You claim I don't have relationships, and yet my duo partner I flipped. He went from hating me, Nathaniel, to loving me, to backing me, was an ally and a confidant last round. You claim I don't have any allies. My editor, Editgate of Tom, has my back every step of the way, helping me out in production. You claim I don't have relationships, and yet I'm building them every week. I've collaborated with my troll and my hater, who's no longer in the competition. I've worked alongside multiple people. I've displayed range at every step of the way.
What you have done is these people are using you to get further in the competition. O'Hara sees you as a stepping stone into a bigger group. PPR Tyler is simply using you as that host so he doesn't have to do all that work and can shine next to you. He's too scared to stand next to someone that is as good as he is. He'd rather stand over you. Everyone except for the editor, and I'll get to him in a second, is using you for their own gain because they know they look better when they're out next to you. And that editor, he's just happy to be here, man. I feel bad for the guy. You are abusing what he can do. I deserve to win this because, yes, I come from the survival world, but before that, Emo, I made money reporting on this business. You can look up Gaming Society. I have stuff out there written in the Word. I have talking about fantasy football online to build the following. That was before Survivor even existed. I am here, first and foremost, as a football fan, Emo.
I've been doing this for several years myself, writing, podcasting, YouTubing, pre-recording, streaming. I've been doing it all as well. I'm glad you think I'm super flattered. You think I look so good that anybody standing next to me looks great. And I know that I do have that Davis Maddock-esque ability to make anybody look bigger than me next to me, but that's because I collaborate well, and that's because I've been grinding it like my fucking cock deserves to be ground up to get the work done in, and that's why I put the work in.
Mostly, Emo, I am happy that I am here being able to talk to you because I asked you, when am I allowed to come on the tower? And you did not allow any guests because you were scared I was going to break down the walls. I got invited as a new sheriff in town.
Jacob and I conferred on a winner.
I probably lean slightly to squares for the reason that as a matter of debate mechanics, the puck was in Emo's end the entire time. And they mostly were talking on Squares' terms, and it was about Emo. It was Squares made his point, Emo defended himself, Squares got to then go back after Emo, and we spent almost no time after the opening 30 seconds talking about Squares, which was supposed to be Emo's point.
To Tony's point, he's like, you are being propped up by all of these people around you.
Yes.
And for Emo to use that as a feather in his cap, that I have this editor doing stuff for me, that's not saying like, I'm in here, I'm the one driving the conversation and earning it. It's, I'm getting supported by all of these external factors. I thought that was kind of a self-own. Emo knew he had opened up the door for a Squares victory.
Fuck, man. I think I fucking played that wrong. He came at me like he was supposed to. I defended instead of just going in on him. It's the second fucking time in this fucking competition that, you know, I'm presented with go after the other guy, and all I can hear in the back of my head is all the critics and the haters saying, "Oh, you're too mean, you're yelling, you're shouting, you're insulting." And the fucking end debate challenge is literally, you know, tear your fucking opponent a new one, and I don't do that. That's on me. That's fucking stupid.
But Emo wasn't done yet.
But let's run it back real quick in under 60 seconds. Tony, you offer nothing. You bring nothing to the table. I genuinely believe you're a worthless piece of shit in this competition because ultimately this is about being a tout, not a fucking radio broadcaster with your dime a dozen fucking quote-unquote skill set. Read an FTN article to tell me about offensive line ranks. What do you fucking do? What are you, glorified AI for what I need to consolidate info? What is it that you bring to the table? Not a goddamn thing. You haven't talked any fucking ball that's worth a damn fucking thing without days of prep. Whoop-de fucking do, buddy. When and if it's time to actually talk some ball, your fucking goose is cooked, hermano. So congratulations last night. Eat my ass. I'm not scared of you. Fucking bitch.
Yikes. I think someone is feeling threatened by Tony Squares. And honestly, everyone should be.
This right here is the face of a man who just won. This right here is the face of a man whose back was against the wall. I still got these stupid earbuds in, whose back was against the wall, who nobody wanted to see move forward, who then they set up against the main person that wants him out, an Emo Cowboy. I didn't have to face him once, I had to face him twice. I have no idea how anything was scored. I have no idea who's up for elimination. All I know at this point, I literally just finished the recording. Can you see? Upload complete. The only thing I know is that I won. And I told you guys earlier today, don't let me win one. Don't let me win today, because then you got to face me tomorrow and the next day, and this train just keeps on rolling. You wanted a confessional, Peter. I don't even think you asked for it. I'm still giving you one, because you fucking know I can tout, and I'm taking this whole damn thing.
But we weren't quite done yet. We had one more surprise for this tournament. You have won the debate tournament, but it wouldn't be any fun if we didn't have an Endboss, our judge himself, Jakob Sanderson. You're going to face Jacob in a head-to-head debate. Jacob is going to begin by tossing out one of his takes that he's on record with in the fantasy space, and it's your job to take the con and argue with Jacob in a free-form debate. Think of this like hopping on ADP chasing with Jacob.
My take, which has become, I think, rather infamous in our specific circle, is that Mr. 42% himself, Rachaad White, is the best running back pick available after pick 60. And I'll say this applies to all formats. So best ball, redraft, you can't do better than Rachaad White.
I hear you on Rachaad White, and I do love what he did in Tampa Bay. However, on this team that he is at right now, I actually talked about this in our full stream that we had here. The Washington running back room is a cluster. right now. JCM is out there. They're working on him as a receiving back and in the return game. I would not draft him, touch him with a 10-foot pole. To me, it's up to Rachaad White, who is, to me, an absolute nobody, and then Katron Fat Man Allen, the one man that they drafted to throw into this mix. That's who I would probably throw in instead of Rachaad White. But I'm interested to hear why you have 42%
Well,
of
thank you
shares
so
of him.
much. I mean, you mentioned that this Washington backfield is a cluster, and you've already drained half the Washington swamp yourself. You just threw Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt to the side, so thanks for making this so much easier on me. Now all I have to deal with is Fat Man, Katron Allen, who has basically no pass catching profile, and that's what we know that Rachaad White can do. Say what you want about Rachaad White, and there are some fair nits to pick in his profile over the years, but he is a guy who brings size to the table and he brings pass catching to the table. And that is the most important thing for fantasy points. You look at last year, some of the highest performing running backs from a value versus where they were drafted perspective, Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams, what did they have in common? They might not have been that sexy, but they were in ambiguous, clustered backfields in good offenses with adequate size and with a reasonable pass catching, pass downs profile. That's how you find upside in the late rounds, and that's what Rachaad White brings to the table.
You're absolutely not wrong. It's a boring pick whatsoever, and there's not a lot there to it. But the size angle is where you're wrong. Katron Fat Man Allen in OTAs is already in the goal line packages. And to get the most points, yes, you would love a pass-catching running back, but you need to put the biscuit in the basket. And I think Rachaad White is not going to get enough opportunities there when they drafted Allen to be a dude that they could rely upon. Krosky-Merritt, I don't believe, is a factor. Absolutely right. I don't think Rachaad White is good enough to keep Fat Man Allen off of the field. Dan Quinn will go with his
Fat Man
stars.
Allen is a round 6 pick, and round 6 picks tend to be kept off the field pretty darn easily. Rachaad White, say what you want about him again, but last year was 10th in success rate on gap runs, used disproportionately at the goal line, 24th in success rate in zone runs. This is a guy who, if nothing else, most recently was legitimately getting opportunities at the goal line early in the season ahead of Bucky Irving, was converting on some of those because this is a guy who was able to get what was blocked. And if you're telling me that it's more likely that a day 3 pick is going to be the one who takes on the goal line work over a guy who's just demonstrated their ability to get what's blocked, I think that's a thin bet. And you know who's not thin? Katron Fat Man Allen.
He's going to bust through that line and get that touchdown, baby. They're already working it. That's what I'm taking. You
Great
made me
work.
defend Katron Allen in 2 straight videos, Peter.
I was curious how Jacob thought Tony did.
I was afraid of seeing squares in there. I think he works really, really well off of his feet. I mean, I think it's ultimately for other people to decide, not me, whether I won my own debate. But the one thing I wish is I wish you were a little bit more combative with me. You just kind of let me monologue for a while in the middle, and I wanted you to cut me off and try to take the bull by the horns.
I'm more similar to you, Jacob, where I have a thing I want to say, and I want to say it, so I respect when another person has it, because I'd rather have you fall flat on your face with your points and me to counter off of them than to cut you off at the head. I come from a big Italian family, man. We're all yelling at each other, so for me to get the chance to say something and let it all out, I'd much rather have that platform than arguing back and forth.
Regardless, Tony Squares had easily won the debate tournament. He's now won back-to-back challenges, and he did it both times in formats that were supposed to expose him. First as a streamer, now as a debater. The doubters are starting to run out of excuses. Like Fantasy Flock, Jacob was beyond impressed.
I was blown away by him in this challenge repeatedly. I had him as my highest scored in every single round going in. So I thought he won this throughout the competition. I think the biggest strength for me with Tony would be twofold. One is just his ability to, on the fly, mold information into what he's saying that is not obvious. He's able to bring in pop cultural references. He's able to bring in statistics. He's able to bring in jokes. And it just makes it all flow in a way that's like, man, his ability to recall and vibe on the fly is at a different level, I thought, today than really any other of the contestants. His natural screen presence is really remarkable. He comes off in a way that you're clearly paying attention to him every single time he's on camera, but he does it without devolving into a character or without seeming like he's acting.
Before I let Tony go, I told him what his reward was for getting first place. Told you you're going to get a reward. The reward for winning the debate tournament is going to be an advance on the next challenge. You are going to get tipped off what is to come. You will be able to prepare for it how you'd like. basically however you want to leverage that information beyond not saying anything to any of the other contestants.
That's fantastic. An advantage that I will need, considering how crazy my life is going to be over the next few days here, to be able to prepare in advance for that is perfect. That's great.
I told him all of the details of the next challenge, the theme, what it involves, and how it will work. The theme of this next week is going to be called...
Love it. Love it. Hey, 2-part challenge. I'm all about it. And I was waiting for these lengthier ones where like we have, 45 minutes solo time essentially. I knew it was coming. And it's coming a little bit faster than I thought.
We're throwing you guys in the deep end here. Before Jakob had to leave and before we get to the eliminations, I asked him for his honest read on this final group of 8.
Yeah, it's a really good group. I think it's a humorous group. When I first watched your first couple episodes to now, like it's clear that you have found someone, at least. I don't know who's going to win this show, but I feel like there's multiple people who have a very obviously bright career in this industry. And I think it's super exciting, especially some of the people that I was not familiar with at all going in, just how much talent they have and what they could do. It's super exciting. I was impressed at multiple points with how well people were able to adapt on the fly. In terms of projecting forward, I think what I'd most want to see is just environments where you have to get into the minutia of the takes. Can they dive deep into the weeds and deliver winning analysis?
All right. The touts had debated. Our judge had ruled. It was time to sort through the rubble. We had a debate champ in Tony Squares. We had a worthy second place finisher in Emo. Cups in the commish rounded out the top 4, and O'Hara had immunity. But it was time to make some cuts. I called up Nathaniel Wright and Goofy Chicken because they were both on the bubble. I told them the truth. You're on the bubble. One of them was going home. But I also told them I didn't want to watch them debate each other again because that's not the Nathaniel and Goofy I've loved on this show. I still am a sucker for theme, and I'm still a sucker for wanting to see you guys in a setting where we get back to the Nathaniel and Goofy that we love, that the reason you guys are here in the first place. So I'm going to tell you guys my idea for what I would like to do. Nathaniel's highlight for me on this show, it was when his mom, Marilyn, crashed the After Dark stream a few weeks ago. How did you feel about PPR Tyler's big decision to take $500 over allowing his friend BBG to stay in the competition?
I thought that sucked. You should not do that to your friends.
Goofy? I loved his audition. I loved watching him at the strip club with Mitchell, and I've enjoyed watching him on stream. Specifically, the clips I've seen with his pal SYTYCT.
I need everybody to goddamn start showing their exposure.
Let Goofy Chicken handle this shit, and you just be the fucking guest, man. Don't nobody give a damn about your exposures, bruh.
If motherfuckers left when I was showing my exposure, they just hate us, bruh.
So I had an idea. What if you guys have an open forum debate? I'll have some topics. I'll have some fun things for us to discuss. But you have debate reinforcements. Nathaniel's mom, Marilyn, joins us on stream, and SYTYCT joins Goofy. In my head, this is a mixture of, you think like the Key and Peele sketch, Angry Obama Translator, where it's like maybe there's stuff you don't want to say, but SYTYCT or Marilyn is willing to say it.
Peter, you don't know text, man. He's the biggest troll online. I can't contain him. I can't control what he's going to say. All I can do is invite him, man.
My mother will certainly be saying things. I can confirm that, and probably stuff that I wouldn't want to say.
One final chance for Goofy and Nathaniel, this time with reinforcements. Immediately following this episode, tune in for a live stream on the Pete Overzet channel. The link will be down below, and you can watch Nathaniel, Goofy, and their reinforcements, Marilyn and SYTYCT, go at it. When it's done, you'll vote in the comments on who you want to advance, because the other one is going home. Okay, now I know what you're thinking. You're starting to do some math. Top 4, Squares, Emo, Cups, Commish, O'Hara has immunity, Goofy and Nathaniel in the debate. Isn't there one more tout we haven't addressed yet? PPR Tyler. That's right. He struggled in the debate, so what's his fate, you're probably wondering. Good question. I knew Jakob's opinion, but I was also curious what his co-host from the Toxic Tower thought of his performance. Not Emo. The other dude. Best Ball guy. Remember him?
That is extremely important for best ball, as we know. Furthermore,
yeah, you might recall that when BBG was on the ropes in the Tout Twist competition, PPR Tyler was brought in to determine his fate. PPR received a very simple choice. Keep BBG in the competition or receive $500 in underdog site credits for himself. You remember what happened.
Fork over those fucking site credits, Numi. I want my $500, baby.
5 weeks later, the roles had completely reversed. PPR Tyler was on the bubble, and I knew what I had to do. I asked BBG to hop on a call with me to review PPR Tyler's tape from the debate challenge.
Who are the players you need for the year that you are trying to win? And that changes constantly with news and everything else. And ADP can't catch up to as fast enough that some of those things.
That is not him, dude. That is a depressed man with definitely something else on his mind while he's trying to talk about fantasy football.
It was a little hard because coming off of the Survivor Challenge, I think he was a little more energetic. He didn't seem like he was in a bad headspace, but it also, again, was like super stiff Tyler, not the casual loose, I'm ready to roll with whatever.
He's so good when he's on. I don't know. He's done great throughout the show, really. So seeing all that is just sad because it's like, man, you can't afford to be doing that with 8 people left. Like, that's tough.
I was curious, what has life been like for BBG since he got eliminated from the competition?
Dude, it's been great. Like, I mean, in all honesty, you know, like we obviously got like, you know, very good publicity for the Toxic Tower in my channel. I get JJ Zacharyson tweeting like justice for BBG and like, you know, big names that are like commenting about me, which is cool, of course. Unfortunately, just like the timing of everything that was going on in my life I was leaving my job. I was making this career change to move back home and all this stuff. And I'm like entering a long distance relationship. My girlfriend decided she was going to move to a different city. So there's just like a lot going on. So looking back, I have nothing but to be thankful for because I don't know how far I could have made it in this show with the amount of effort that I was able to put in during the month of May, basically. But yeah, watching it now, watching Emo and watching PPR do their thing has been good. I really enjoyed the last episode. I liked how you called out Emo for kind of taking over the hosting thing. And then PPR went kind of robotic with his take.
I then explained to BBG why I had called him up in the first place. I always envisioned having this call with you and having a chance at what I consider a little bit of a redemption because you got, we kind of kicked you while you were down 2 different times, the PPR decision, the rug pull on After Dark.
You're about to get booted off this stream. I never had any interest in talking to you tonight. You were just a gateway to get to the Tylers.
Oh my God. And I knew I always wanted to make that right and give you a chance to have a little bit of a shine. I hate that it's actually under these circumstances with PPR really struggling, but I'll just go ahead and lay all the cards out on the table. I already told you, like PPR had the lowest score in the challenge. Like if I just let Jacob make the decision on removing the lowest person, it would have been him. Like PPR would have just been gone.
Right.
And to me, he's been such a big part of the show. He's been a consistent front runner that I'm like, I don't think it's that easy or should be that easy. And then I gave him a choice, similar to how I had given PPR Tyler a choice. The first choice is you get to save PPR Tyler. You single-handedly get to save him because otherwise nothing is saving him. His performance, it didn't save himself. He has to go if you don't save him.
Okay.
But I also want to give you an opportunity because you've been pushed to the side and been the kind of the third wheel or whatever of the Toxic Tower throughout this process. I want to offer you what I'm kind of calling Pete and BBG week. This would involve you having a guest spot on Best Ball Breakfast to draft a team with myself and Pat Karain, who I know you also enjoy.
Mr. Karain?
Mr. Karain on Best Ball Breakfast. We've been topping out about 10K views an episode on YouTube.
Okay.
I want to do a solo After Dark with you, just you, no rug pulls, hour and a half, get to know you, get the full BBG experience that we should have gotten when we did that After Dark a few weeks back. And then I'm also, will go on your channel for a stream. I will promote it on Twitter, encouraging people to subscribe. I will put it in my newsletter. And I guess we could essentially call this Pete and BBG week. Me giving you the spotlight, pushing people to your channel, and giving you the limelight that I kind of think you deserve in this process. But To accept that package means PPR Tyler goes home.
Wow, I hear you. And then it's funny because all the same things that PPR said about me, like, is he gonna win anyway?
The odds of him winning I feel like aren't good.
You know, like all that stuff. There's a lot of good competition in there. You got Cupsy, you got Tony Squares, you got O'Hara. Like these guys are good. So that's what it goes to. Man, it's funny how that flips so quickly in your brain. All of a sudden you can start justifying things.
The symmetries to everything were crazy, you know, as far as your guys' roles reversing. I didn't whip out a stopwatch like I did for Tyler, but I told him I didn't have all day.
Pete, oh my gosh. Are you telling me I get to be on a show with you on Best Ball Breakfast? I mean, this is
and
like
Karain. It was wasn't that the long con to get on with me and Karain?
I keep joking how I'm doing my own version of chasing Karain, where I'm working my way up the ladder. Like, not that you guys are like in any kind of order, but I'm gonna get Karain on one day. I get to be with Pete and Karain. I'm literally ship chasing. I watch ship chasing. I made my own channel because of ship chasing. I mean, this is. Oh man, I need that. I honestly need that, man. I'm like, I've been. Ever since I moved back, I've been doing these 3-hour streams. I've been trying to get back into the algorithm. Like, I'm hitting it hard. I'm writing down. I got my book right here. I'm writing down video ideas. I'm gonna start doing some short form stuff. So, Pete, I think I'm gonna take the deal, man. I'm taking the deal.
All right.
I love you, brother, but I'm sorry, man. You know, keep your 500 site credits. I'll take the Pete fame for this week. Let's do it whenever we do it.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Full circle. He
in.
got the $500 site credits. I would like to think the package I offered you is worth more than $500.
I would say yes, probably 10x that at least.
I was curious though, was BBG worried about the fallout? He just booted his friend, his co-host, his collaborator in a strong contender from this competition for his own gain.
Am I worried about it? No, I'm gonna use the same logic. I'm gonna go, hey, PPR, guess what? You have become like a subsect of my tree now. And guess what? I'm gonna go blow up with the Pete and Karain videos in the After Dark and get subscribers brought over to me. And guess what? I'm gonna have you on my channel and I'm still on Toxic Tower, and it'll all kind of, you know, a rising ship or a rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing.
So there you have it. PPR Tyler eliminated by BBG just 5 weeks after PPR Tyler eliminated BBG. Mr. President, a second betrayal has hit the tower. I can't believe I'm saying this, but PPR Tyler, you are eliminated from the show. Technically at the hands of BBG, but also because of your performance in the debates. I'd say I don't think you can tout, but I don't even think I believe that. I think you are an extremely talented streamer. I think you are going to be very successful. You probably should find more trustworthy collaborators, but beyond that, keep doing your thing. And honestly, don't use streaming as a crutch. You can do so much more. Write, do short form, do more film breakdowns. You have a career in this space if you want it. You just got to put in the work. All right, our second and final elimination for this challenge is about to go down right now between Nathaniel and his mom, Marilyn, Goofy and his pal, Sentex. Be sure to tune in and vote. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Next time I see you, there will only be 6.